Bryant Williams, who is the undisputed star of the first two episodes of season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring.
The first two episodes. Let's see. I would say. Is it so obvious that I'm missing it here? Because I can.
You're overthinking it just a bit. You're overthinking it.
I got to go with Russo.
No, he's not the star. He's a piece of shit for the first two episodes.
Well, I didn't know what you meant by star. Like, I know. I know what you're saying. I'm not sure.
The undisputed star of the first two episodes of season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring is Karen Jarrett.
Oh, okay. I was going to say her, but I didn't really think she popped up until the second episode.
Yeah, but she steals. I mean, she might as well have been on both of them.
Right. Absolutely.
She's unbelievable.
No, she's awesome, dude. She steals. I mean, she might as well have been on both of them.
Absolutely. She kills. I always said, you can call me a goon if you want to. There's a lot of women that look good when they're 23. To look good as that woman looks at her age is ridiculous. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and if she's had anything done to her, it doesn't stand out to me. It really
no idea. No idea. Wouldn't have any idea. I'll say, when we would go to WrestleCade, like the most beautiful woman I've ever seen at WrestleCade, maybe the most beautiful woman I've ever seen live and in person was Scarlett Boudreaux. Scarlett Boudreaux, again, it's just, you look at her and it's like, how could this be? How is this even possible? That the DNA and the chromosomes, everything came together. And I don't understand, why movie producers, modeling agencies, advertising agencies, I don't understand how they're not beating down the door going, can we use your beauty to sell cosmetics or panties or pizza or Budweiser or I don't understand that at all. Now,
hefty garbage bags.
My point would be, Will Scarlett Boudreaux look as good as Karen Jarrett does when she gets to be her age? I don't know. I know where the money lies on that one. I'm not a good gambler, but
just going on history, statistics.
I think everybody, most of the wrestling fans are talking about this first two episodes. They started off season 7 with an absolute bang with the battle for TNA and the beginnings of TNA, all that stuff. And again, Evan and the other guy. I never can remember Evan's partner's name. I should, but it's not.
I think you put it in my head, and now I can't remember it.
It's the Canadian boys. They did a tremendous job, and they talk about the beginnings of TNA, and they talk about the battle for when Dixie came on board after the Hell South thing. We went over that in last week's episode. What was it that really caught your eye or maybe surprised you, something you didn't know that you learned in those first two episodes?
Wow. I don't know if there's anything that really surprised me. I think the biggest, I don't even know if it's a surprise because you've heard it back and forth and, rumors here, rumors there, but the whole Dixie thing itself, just the whole, how she inserted herself into everything once her dad got it, that was, I don't want to say that was the most surprising, but I think that was the most, I think it just kind of solidified things basically for me. It's like, okay, I understand how shit kind of went down now. Because it was, you heard Jarrett saying, Jarrett, he's got his demons too. So, I mean, you don't know how much he's exaggerating on a lot of things when he gives his, viewpoint of it. But by and large, he's believable, just like Karen. I mean, anything they say, I know they're, some people might consider him like car salesman, carnies, and that sort of thing. Or he's Jeff, but for the most part, I believe him on everything. And this just kind of solidified things, especially when Dixie refused to come on the show.
Right.
That kind of told me a lot right there. But that whole her dad thing, I didn't know a lot of that inside stuff and what that they got to talking about. So that was interesting to me.
Well, they were and I'm kudos to the guys for doing the midget beating off in the trash can. That's you hear Conrad refer that one all the time because I think Dusty said that in the promo. A midget beating off in a trash can, and at least they put it in there, and you got it. I believed Karen. I believe Jeff. I believe Dave Sahadi. I believe Scott D'Amore. I believe D'Lo. Vince Russo, I wouldn't believe him to save my life. I would not believe him if he said a car was coming at me. I'd just go ahead and get hit. I wouldn't believe a damn thing that Vince Russo ever says.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I think you hit on something here, man. I think if you look at everybody that was in those episodes that they talked to and whatever, the main people, pretty much everybody you just named, and maybe a couple others, you're like, God, that everybody's believable. Everybody's like, you can't help but they're so matter of fact about things. It's just hard not to believe them on the things that they were saying. And then you throw Russo in there, and it's not like it's not like he's defying anything anybody's saying so far, what other people are saying, but it's like when he comes in and agrees with them, you're almost like, okay, I'm gonna let that slide, but I still believe everybody.
Exactly.
I don't know how else to put it, but yes, I know what you're saying about him being in there.
People don't know the history of this program, our program with Vince Russo. Vince Russo and I were on, and our program was on the same network, and he got us kicked off because we called him out on his homophobic and transphobic bullshit. And he would go complain to management, and they would tell us to stop doing it. And I would go, but you're not paying me. You're not paying me. Like, you can't take anything away. Like, if you have a boss and your boss says stop doing that, your boss can take the paycheck away from you. Mm-hmm. These people couldn't take anything away from me. So he worked his magic behind the scenes, and he did it here as well. They don't talk about it as much, but he absolutely did. And we'll get into that in just a moment. He, in the very beginning, I told you, there he is taking credit for, I came up with it, bro. Tits and ass. That's what it was. It was TNA. Now,
right out in the open, right there you go. Just plain as day.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt this much. They may have edited that so that later on he goes, yeah, I wish I hadn't done that. Or, when I found God, I kind of repented against that stuff. But yeah, here he is like, oh, I've done the greatest thing ever. I've come up with this thing. And to be fair, they did want him to push the envelope with adult content. He was given license to do that by the owners of, well, at least one of the owners at that time of the territory of the promotion. They wanted, you'll recall in the early days of TNA, they had girls dancing in cages, go-go girls dancing in cages by the ring, right? In Nashville at the Asylum.
You know what? I have to admit, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, when they brought it back up, I'm like, yeah, I'd forgotten they did that. Yeah.
There was you'd forgotten about midgets beating off in closets here in the trash can.
I forgot about that too, to be honest.
It's a midget beating off in the trash can. So as they continue through the first part, there was a lot of the stuff in the first part that I didn't necessarily want them to keep going through, like when Jeff held Vince up for the money in Cleveland and the death of Owen. I'm fine with that, whatever. But they went through a lot of expository stuff that I didn't think they needed to as far as context to bring it up. And then they got to, oh, he did this thing and he started this promotion and they wanted to be different. And then I don't know that anybody's ever explained. I don't know if Jeff's ever answered the question properly. Why did you think that Vince Russo had to be on board for this thing? Because eventually Vince Russo is a big reason that Jeff and his father didn't talk for a number of years. I mean, that's a big reason, was because of Vince Russo.
Yeah. I didn't really think about it that hard, but that question did kind of pop into my mind when that first came up on the show, when he's like, he called up Russo and needed him to, or said he needed him to be the writer and write the programs. And that thought did kind of skim through my brain there for a minute. Like, why did you think that would be a good idea at this point?
Exactly.
And maybe I don't know. I just didn't really think any harder about it after that. But now that you're bringing it up, it's like, that is a very freaking valid question. I would like to know that. Why him of all people? I mean, was it just because he knew him and he wrote for the Raw as War Days and all that shit? Is it because of that he thought that he could still milk him for that, and he thought he knew him well enough that he could keep the reins on him, so to speak? I don't know, man. That's a very good question.
Well, I don't know if in particular Vince had already started his famous pivot toward being saved or whatever. And I don't know if him and Jeff were Jesus buddies at that time, or I don't know if that was part of this or whatever.
I don't know.
It's hard to really justify that with a midget beating off in a trash.
Yeah. If you kind of go by that, you would think, no, you don't think they've, had the actual come to Jesus moments. But
dear Heavenly Father, please bless this production tonight as we bring forth the Johnsons and the midget beating off in a trash can.
Amen.
But past this prelude, and part one gives birth to second part. And the second part is when Dixie Carter comes into the promotion, becomes the head of the promotion. She and her dad, Bob Carter, who's a super rich guy in Dallas, unbeknownst to Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff had hired her for some PR. She was doing PR for, I guess, a lot of country music stars in Nashville. And naturally, Jeff just kind of said, hey, you can do PR for this thing. And then, when Health South, when all that thing went tits up, Dixie's like, hey, why the glum face, chum? And Jeff goes, well, I'm going to have to pretty much sell this whole thing. And I'm probably going to have to go bankrupt. And, it's going to be bad. It's not good. And, here we go. So Dixie goes, wait, I have a very rich ass father that would like to say, hey, I employ this guy or that guy or whatever. And there it was. Dixie Carter comes in, the Carter family, and the Panda Energy Days start with TNA. That's how she gained her entree into it. And immediately her, I guess what she really was capitalizing on and what she really wanted to do more than anything else was to be famous. She wanted to be, I think Dixie always had like a Real Housewives of Nashville kind of thing that she wanted to do. I believe that was her goal.
That is so believable now. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't believable then, but it's like you didn't know if it was the truth or not. But now all this is where it is now. It's like, yeah, of course, that's exactly what it was.
They go through the death of Jill Jarrett, Jeff's first wife. And I thought that was one moment where Vince Russo, that's like a genuine moment for him when he was very sad because he hadn't seen Jill in a long time and she was very sick and he was very emotional talking about that. So I thought, well, we finally get to see like the real fucking Vince Russo without him being full of guile and trying to, make himself look good or whatever. So I thought that was a good moment for him. And then we get into part two, and a lot of part two has to do with the breakup of Kurt Angle. Well, the signing of Kurt Angle, first of all, to the promotion. And then the breakup of his marriage, which, by the way, was pretty much in motion by the time he gets signed on. There's a couple of things I loved. I loved Kurt going, yeah, I'd pretty much done everything I could do at WBE, and it was time for me to move on. I did kind of, didn't you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Although the narrative from the WWE side was always, well, he was pilled out of his head because of injuries and stuff. And, so we had to kind of let him go. We had to get rid of him.
I guess that's what pretty much WWE said about him too. I think he's run his course here. I think it's time for him to go. So.
Yeah, I do like the idea that Kurt thought it was like, yeah, totally my idea. Totally, it was my call. It was my call to I don't think it was. I really don't think it was. So they come over to WWE. I'm very shocked. I'm very surprised that somebody at WWE didn't look at her, didn't see Karen Angle at that time and go, oh shit, we got to get her on TV, right? I would have been. I'm shocked.
I don't know, but I think they did. Remember, they wanted her. They did get her on TV, and she was like, I don't know how they got me on TV back then to do. I don't know what they were doing. I don't remember. It looked like the clip they showed. It looked like it was some sort of. I don't know. It was a bunch of people in the ring. I don't know if she was in some sort of battle royal or if she's in there with just with. I don't know. It was the setup was kind of weird, but I saw her in there like going off on some other female wrestler or somebody else at the show, but I don't know. I don't know why they didn't keep her, permanently like that, but I don't know. I think maybe that's when Dixie came in and wanted to not put her on. Maybe she had some little
Well, I'm talking about when she was when she was Karen Angle back in WWE, back when they were married back in WWE. I'm surprised.
Back then. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood you. Totally, man. Totally. I mean, who even knew what she looked like back then? You know, any of us.
I would think like she comes to WrestleMania with him, or she comes backstage, or somebody would have given it. And I can't believe they wouldn't have produced her on WWE. They didn't go, we got her. Yes, because I remember from the very first time they put her on TV and TNA, and I think she was like Rookie of the Year maybe in Wrestling Observer Newsletter or something. I'm like, it's so natural. She's so good at this. Plus, you have to look at her. I mean, it's just she's great. She's great on TV. Maybe she doesn't want to do it anymore, and I appreciate that. And a lot of people don't like doing it. I get that, but man. First couple of years when she was in TNA, they put her on television. She was gold. She was fantastic.
Oh, she was a natural. I mean, yeah, I can't believe. Yeah, I can't believe WWE didn't do it. Maybe she didn't want to do anything back then with WWE. Maybe they did offer her something.
Maybe
it was kind of amazing that she wasn't on camera with him. Now that you say that.
So the great mythology has always been in that company that Jeff stole Karen away from Kurt. That's been a myth. Right? It's been a persistent myth. And to be honest, if you ever paid any attention to it, the timeline never worked out. It was never. And then she basically says it here. That's not what happened. We were separated. It was not a thing. He didn't pursue me. More or less, it was her pursuing Jeff. And it was like well after the marriage had dissolved. She talks about Kurt was going through some tough times. We've joked a lot on this podcast. It's been a while. And damn you for not listening to every one of our podcasts. The Raka Khan days. Yeah. The Raka Khan days with Kurt Angle were especially difficult. There was a time, you remember there was a time when Billy Joel just kept running into trees with his car. And there was some very similar things were happening with Kurt Angle. He was going to he got a DWI like every 2 weeks. It really was like a paycheck.
Yeah,
it was like the paycheck. All right.
Damn.
Yeah, right. There was some really bad times. He was pilled up, and again, they weren't as strict on testing for anything in TNA at that particular time. But yes, he was going through some difficult times, and the timeline never works out. Jeff had not, and then they go through this thing where and I don't know how this is where timeline gets kind of messy. They invite everybody over for a house party, and ta-da! It's Jeff and Karen hosting. Which isn't that weird?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Hey, could all the wrestlers come over for some Cheese Whiz and maybe some Chardonnay on Friday? You guys just want to chill for a while? And it's going to be at this house. Well, that's cool. That's Jeff's house. Oh, Karen's at Jeff's house. That's weird.
Oh, look.
That's the strangest. I had no idea. That's how odd. And like,
so you helped him out with this, huh?
So then they said, according to Jeff, well, Dixie was there and she was okay with it. But then later on, I do love the Bubba the Love Sponge part of this. I do love the Bubba the Love Sponge part of like somebody calling in and then disguising the voice, go, hey man,
disguising her voice.
It's great. No, they couldn't get into when they couldn't get into when Awesome Kong beat the shit out of Bubba the Love Sponge. That didn't kind of make it into the final cut of the TNA story. But this, where somebody gets on Bubba the Love Sponge, which was legitimately a big deal in the Tampa area at that particular time. There were a lot of people listening. He was the shock jock. He was the greatest shock jock in the entire state of Florida. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. At that particular time, he was the man. He was tied in with TNA, and he was doing some backstage interviews and shit like that. And he's always been involved with the business and shit. And he was always friends with Hogan and all that shit. And somebody calls in and says, hey, man, Dixie's not happy about it. And Jeff and Karen are living together. And then that's when Jeff was sent home. Now, what I recall about this, because the weekend that it all came down, and I think this was 2009. I think it was 2009. There was a TNA house show at the annex at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds, at the Dixie, what was called the Dixie Classic Fairgrounds. I recall that there was a house show, and the word on the street, and I think it was in the Observer, but it was certainly in the Torch, is that Kurt Angle was there, and he was going around telling everybody he would have Jeff's job for this. He was telling various people all throughout the backstage area that he would have Jeff's job for this. That was my recollection.
I wonder if that's true.
And again, you almost wonder if that was part of the kayfabe, because they were told to keep up, and they wanted to be kind of like that, and they wanted people to kind of believe, you know, they were trying to keep up kayfabe that they were still together, right? That Kurt so you wonder if that was all part of it or whatever. But then it was, you know, after that, it was not kayfabe. Jeff was sent home, and he was not allowed to participate in anything, and not allowed to join any reindeer games. And Karen Jarrett on the documentary on episode 2 is brutal toward Dixie Carter. And I'm not saying in an unfair way. I'm saying she's brutally honest to Dixie Carter. She said, here's a man that has lost his wife, has to raise these 3 children, and instead of being happy for him for finding love again, she tried to destroy his life. I'm like, oh, God. That's
not wrong. I mean, if you look at it for face value, then she's not wrong.
It does have the ring and the of being true. It's what they're saying is 100% true. So they send him home.
You know, it comes off to me. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, she comes off to me as somebody who has internalized this stuff for all these years and not said anything publicly about it. I'm sure she's gone off with friends and family about it, you know, here and there, but not something like this in a, you know, forum like this to the public. And I think she was cocked and loaded, man. She was ready to roll.
It's been like 17 years. People are just, I mean, not people, but some idiots have just been saying, you know, you're a whore. You were with this guy and you got stolen away. I mean, come on. She's had to deal with that for 17 fucking years. Oh, yeah, I've heard Jeff with Conrad go, I'm just so tired of hearing that I stole. No, they were already like divorced. They were already separated. They were irretrievable. They were not going to go back together. I didn't interfere in any, and the documentary makes it very clear, and I believe it, that she was the one that kind of pursued Jeff, and not like, hey, I'm going to show up at your house in lingerie one day, but hey, let's talk, and I really enjoy talking to you, and you know, you're kind of in a broken spot, I'm in a broken spot, let's just be friends. And then it kind of went from that. To me, that all rings, that sounds very true to me as well.
You know, I don't see how it can't be. I'm not saying it's 100% true, you know, but it's just, you can't help but not believe it. We can't help but believe it, I guess. It's just, if you think about the whole circumstances as they were back then, it makes perfect sense. I just don't see why people don't, you know, at least give them the benefit of the doubt. At the absolute minimum, least give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, some of our fellow wrestling fans have not got a lot of, let's be kind, experience when it comes to the ways of romance. They don't really know about relationships and how tricky they can be. So it's very simple when you go, yes, he stole away his wife. That's what happened. So they just kind of go with that, and it just sounds great. And here's this woman, and she's beautiful. Oh, she's a whore. What a whore that bitch is. And that's kind of how it is. That's just the way it is, and that's the way the story is. But I'm glad, I hope that some of these idiots, because it never reaches the right ears, but I hope some of these idiots finally figure out, no, they've had this relationship, and it's been virtuous, and they've helped each other out, and they've been together because they love each other. They've had, at various points in times, they could have said, we're done. We're going to go our separate ways. But that's not what's happened. And she told him, like, when all of this came down, she's like, I'm so sorry. Do you still want to do this? And he goes, yes, I still want to be with you. I don't give a shit. The job, the promotion, all this stuff. One of the saddest things I heard, though, was when he goes, you know, when I think about it, the only thing in my life that's been with me the whole time was the business. And I went, oh, Jeff. Oh, that's hard. Maybe that's true, but that's hard, right?
Yeah. That one, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. That is a little over the top to me. But it's, you know, it's just, if you put it in the perspective of everything that was going on, and he says that at that moment, you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of hardcore, but you come out of this, and you can say this was part of the editing or part of the whatever. You're rooting for them. To me, you're rooting for these people, and you're like, okay, this is these are guys I can root for. Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. I can, and I would also say that what they don't mention in this is Jeff has very much taken a very active, positive role in the raising of his stepchildren. I think the Angles have a child named Cody who has autism, and Jeff has championed that child and embraced that child as if it was one of his own, and loves. And again, that didn't necessarily come up in this episode. Doesn't need to. Jeff Jarrett doesn't need to enhance his credentials for anybody. But I'll just say it right here. I've heard him talk about that kid, and he's been a very positive influence in that kid's life as well. So there's that.
And I'll tell you this, and this is just testimonial stuff from you and I. We've met Jeff, what, 2 or 3 times?
Yes.
At different times at WrestleCade, and the one time that Karen was there with him, they were so nice, man. Remember when the whole slap nuts thing, and just sat there and chit chatted with him. He was just, I don't know, man. He was just so down to earth, and just he just seemed like one of the good guys. And I know, I get some of the things in the past that he's not perfect and all that stuff, but I've never dealt with anything or seen anything that made me think that he was an asshole, a complete human asshole,
I'm sure he had his moments, and I think they'll get into that with some of the alcoholism and stuff like that. But one of the reasons I think you and I and a lot of people can relate to Jeff Jarrett is he's been through some shit in his life. He talked about that. Like, his dad wasn't really a part of his life in the beginning, and then he goes, through his life, and then he and his dad are estranged for a while, and then his wife dies tragically, and then so he's been through some shit, and he's come out the other end. And I would be an eternal optimist too if I went through all that and I ended up with this woman like Karen Jarrett. Yeah, I might be like, well, I guess things will turn out okay. I might be all right. Yeah. And even if I'm at some wrestling show where I'm there for 5 or 6 hours, and maybe people are going to make smart ass comments, and maybe things aren't going to be great, but maybe some people will say some great stuff and I'll make some great memories. I've still got this woman right by my side. And no matter what happens, I'm going home with her. So yeah, I would think you would be very optimistic and have a pretty sunny outlook on life in general.
You would have to. How would you not?
I would think so, but that's to me. That's why he's so he gets the call out of the blue one day. Hey Jeff, it's Dixie. I'm going to take you off the bench here. I want you to go meet with this Hulk Hogan guy. Now, they didn't really get into all of that, but for those of us who know, that was one of the first jobs, I guess, among the majors that the Hulkster ever had back when he was Sterling Golden, when he went to Memphis. A lot of people have seen that promo. I think it lives on YouTube, and it's a guy, I can't even remember the guy who's narrating it, but he's some DJ or something in Memphis. He goes, he stands 6'10" tall. You may have seen it. It's got like the Olympic music behind it, and it kind of pans up on Hulk's physique, and it shows him being like just massive, whatever,
Mm-hmm. I barely remember it.
Yeah, it lives on. So that was Jerry Jarrett was one of the first guys to ever think, oh, we can do something with this guy and make some money with this guy, and then yada yada. So there's a history there, and Jeff, I think knew him from when he was a kid or whatever. So Dixie goes, hey Jeff, I want you to head on over to Tampa, and you tell that Hulk Hogan he needs to be a part of total nonstop action. So Jeff goes over there, talks him into it. It's Bischoff and Hogan, and they cut the sweetheart deal to come into TNA, and he gets paid just a shit ton of money to really not do much. I remember also during that period of time when Hulk Hogan is on TNA and it's kind of a big deal, he goes on to I think it was Regis and Kathy Lee. I don't think it was even Regis and Kelly at that point in time. And he's promoting something else, never mentions TNA one time. Never says watch Wednesday night or Tuesday night or whatever. Never for 1 second mentions it. And they're paying him just like Brinks trucks are just lining his lawn in Tampa, trying to pay him like big time money.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That doesn't surprise me at all. One thing that kind of surprised me a little bit, I don't know, and this is one you're kind of, at least I was kind of like, I don't know about that. He said that Jarrett said, I don't know if you remember, but when he was going down to meet Hogan, he said he was under the impression that Hogan was going to come in and be like just a face for the company, like a spokesman type person for the company, not really, wrestle per se. But I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was ever the case. I mean,
well,
at any point.
I can't believe that, because I don't believe it was probably ever communicated to him properly exactly what the role would be. I don't know if they had any idea what they really wanted him to do.
I mean, that's probably true too. That's probably the truth right there. But it's just,
I agree.
I get surprised that he said that, but.
So they bring him in, and then they were like, another funny part was like, with Jeff Jarrett out of the way, that Vince Russo, he just ran wild doing all kind of bullshit, which, yes and no. They talked about how they would have, I think it was D'Lo goes, well, you have like 1 minute of wrestling and 59 minutes worth of bullshit, which is some of the worst stuff that ever happened that Vince Russo ever wrote was when Jeff Jarrett was actively a part of the promotion. Like I go back to the Dub Cup. I don't know, to me, if we're having a contest and you ask me to present the worst thing that Vince Russo ever did as far as like television product, I might throw the Dub Cup up there, because it's like one of the worst things. If you guys haven't seen it, you should go look it up, because I think it's on YouTube, and it's just so fucking embarrassing. It's like it's like one of those things where you're like, if you're married to somebody and they don't like wrestling and you're watching, they wander. It's always during bullshit like that when they wander through the living room. That's all, when it's like the worst possible, most embarrassing, stupid shit.
This wouldn't be another testimonial from you, would it?
No, it's situationally. It's not. Okay. No, not another testimony. And we love one of the Dubs was a guy named Otto Schwanz, who we loved, and we watched him in Infinite Wrestling all the time. I even think if you talk to Otto and he went, "Hey, that Dub Cup thing, that really sucked," didn't he? He'd probably go, "Yeah, that was really bad. That was pretty awful. What am I going to do? They were paying me." So
it was $1.
So they were like, "Yeah, Vince Russo, man, when he didn't have Jeff's watchful eye on him, he was really doing some bad shit." And he was, but he also did some bad shit when Jeff was right next to him, right 4 inches away from him. So you can't really say. And he goes,
that can't be anything, right?
And they go, well, they would have the Fire Russo chants in TNA, and Vince Russo was like, "Those mocks, I didn't even write that." And it was like, "Yes, you did. You booked it." And Dutch Mantel was like, "Yes, you did." He didn't say this in the episode, but Dutch Mantel has said, yes, Vince, you were responsible for that. And yes, you did it. So after Jeff Jarrett was dismissed because of his infidelity, because of everything from Dixie Carter, that's when she starts like doing the Goodfellas thing, where they start like getting rid of all the people that he was associated with, like Dutch Mantel and like any of those producers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what
they talked about.
Ultra obvious.
And that's when they bring Cornette back into it about his murderous past with Vincent James Russo. And again, we fully support James Cornette when it comes to.
So did you make a terroristic threat to Vince Russo? And he just kind of smiled and said, "What do you mean by terroristic?"
Well, you define terroristic. And then Russo goes, what he said, bro, was if he could murder Vince Russo and get away with it, he would do it. I can think of like 6 people. I can think of 6 people off the top of my head if I would say that about right now. I could say that right now, like national figures, entertainment figures, people who have been part of my life at certain points, people I've just met for 5 seconds. I could say that about 20. And by the way, it's not a great thing to say, but I also don't think it's actionable.
It's
so they get into that, and the Dutch Mantel's gone, and then see what happened was Cornette was like, after he found out that Jeff was gone, Cornette goes, he says, "Well, I don't need to stay around. There's no reason for me to." No, he the first time he came up to Jeff when they were going to hire Russo back, he goes, I can't do this. And Jarrett kind of questioned his manhood and said, if you don't if you don't do this, if you don't come to the next taping, that's a no-show. And like, you can't, and Jim's old school enough to go, he can't no-show. He's never had a no-show in his life, right? He's never done that. That was like Jeff Jarrett becoming his grandmother at that point in time. Like, he's like, okay, Teeny would say you're a huge pussy and you're a no-show and you can't do that. And Cornette goes, okay, I'll stick around. And then when they shoved Jeff off to the side, that was another time where Cornette was like, well, I'm going to go. And Jeff goes, nope, I'm not there. So you have to be there to protect the company. You have to be there so that, it runs okay. But then they eventually got rid of Cornette anyway. So it never mattered.
Yeah, that's another thing kind of went through my head. It's like, how did they coexist for as long as they did to get in TNA? That's
he says
in itself.
He says he tried. I mean, he says, Cornette said, really, I didn't agree with anything, and I would have to redo a lot of shit. And then this is the main point that I want to make. Vince Russo was talking about how, Dixie wanted it this way, and Jeff was like, he was talking down to her and basically saying she didn't know shit about the wrestling business, which she didn't. And Russo would go, well, Jeff, we got to do it this way. And he goes, why are you saying that? So, well, it's the way Dixie wants. There's no question in my mind. Vince Russo was playing backroom politics with these guys, telling Dixie one thing, telling Jeff another, and playing them against each other. There's no question in my mind. He was using the fracture in their relationship to play against each other. That happened.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to convince me of that.
you and I have been through enough in his personal workings and all the stuff that he's done in his entire career for me to know that he was the guy. He was doing exactly that. And I think Jeff Jarrett has even alluded to that with some stuff that he was going behind Jeff's back and saying stuff to the Carter family. And I don't know if that's going to come up in the last episode of this trilogy or not, but that was 100% happening. Vince Russo was working his backroom magic, doing all of his politicking. And there's no question in my mind that happened.
I just think it's kind of low hanging fruit, man. That's easy pickings. It's easy. How do you not think that? How would you not think that?
It won't be acknowledged as much, but because he participated in this, it's maddening to me, but he gets away with like so much shit. So where we left at the end of episode 2 is Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff are coming in, and this will be interesting in episode 3, because I think they're going to pit Bischoff off against Russo. I think they're going to pit those two against each other, which they have been against each other before. They're basically the same person, except Bischoff is much smarter than Vince Russo is. They are both full of guile. They are oily people. They are not capable of telling the truth. But Eric Bischoff is way smarter than Vincent James Russo has ever been.
Oh, yeah. That's not even close either. Yeah.
So they're going to go, and that's going to happen in episode number 3, and then they'll go through the Hulk Hogan years, and I'm sure they're going to go, because Jeffrey Nero Hardy was also a part of this, and we're going to go through Jeff's problems at the pay-per-view with Sting and all of those good things. All of those good things happening. So we're off to a hot start. I will tell you another guy who came off to me as being really, really good was Dave Sahadi. I thought Dave Sahadi was really good. And telling his stuff. I thought Scott D'Amore came off great. I thought D'Lo was great. I wish they would have gotten Dutch Mantel. I don't know if they reached out to him and he didn't do it or not, but I would have loved to have seen Dutch Mantel as part of this. They've worked with Dutch before, because he narrated
him on there before.
Well, he narrated the first season. He did the Chris Jericho voiceover part for the first season of Dark Side of the Ring.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've ruined their relationship with him because of that.
I think was good on there was James Mitchell.
He was. He was astounding. I mean, James Mitchell is pretty good in about everything I've ever seen him in when it comes to behind-the-scenes stuff, because he'll tell the truth. He doesn't give a shit.
He seems like it.
He just doesn't. As we've been talking, I have a news alert. Who is this from? Fightful Select via Yahoo Sports. Top targets expected to sign with World Wrestling Entertainment. A guy who we've been talking about for a while, who we can't believe he's not in already. They're talking about Zilla Fatu possibly coming in very, very soon.
I can see that. I've been waiting on that actually for a while.
Get ready. Big Bill may be coming back. Big Bill coming back to the WWE. Let's see. Why are you holding your head when Cass is going to come back?
Well, we know what that means, and you know what that means.
Well, I would hope it doesn't mean Enzo is coming back. I would hope that's not
what it means.
Oh God, that's so sad because I like Big Bill's wife. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it at all. Mike Santana, the former TNA World Champion, possibly being signed.
I could see. Okay, that's fine. I like Santana.
Hiromu Takahashi and Richard Holiday, the former MLW World Champion. And we do want to mention right now, speaking of MLW, Bryant, if you're watching, got his LeBron Cazone sweatshirt on, his zip-up hoodie. And LeBron Cazone just made his debut in Major League Wrestling, MLW's big 4th of July episode, which you need to watch right now. And go watch it on YouTube for absolutely free. It is great. They start out with a Southern Heavyweight Championship Battle Royal featuring some of our favorites, including Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett and Festus. Doc Gallows is back as Festus.
Yes. Ricardo Rodriguez, Jesus Rodriguez. Nowadays,
Paul Walter Hauser is in that thing, who is currently feuding with James Cornette. Any thoughts on the Hauser versus Cornette feud right now, Brian?
I don't know enough about it to comment. I just saw the minimum amount, so it's funny. Anything that has Cornette and this sort of situation is funny to me.
I kind of gave up bitchy Twitter feuds about 8 years ago. I kind of I'm not going to do that much anymore. But one of the debuts that they make in the MLW thing that they just dropped was Teddy Long introducing LeBron Cazone right there at center stage in Atlanta. They are giving this guy an opportunity to get a great push, and we're super excited. And LeBron is a tremendous talent.
He is, man. I'm surprised in a way that it's taken this. Well, not in a way. I am surprised it's taken this long for him to get to where he is. And it's not. And I'm not. It's through no fault of his own. I'm just surprised that nobody has noticed him until that sort of thing until now. Because I've noticed him for like 10 years. So it's been a long time. And matter of fact, I don't know if you saw this, but they're having some kind of veterans show in Winston that he's going to be at on Saturday.
Wow.
I don't think it's at the convention center, but it's somewhere downtown. I didn't look at exactly where it is, but yeah, I just noticed that like 2 days ago. But anyway, yeah. And I hope since that Teddy Long thing happened, that's the trajectory shot for him to get to get to some belts and that sort of thing, which I think they seem pretty high on him.
It looks like Court Bauer is going to give him a real chance to succeed. And I think Court Bauer is a really good booker. And I think he's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good thing. And we're going to see they're giving him every opportunity. So we're excited. Go watch that show. I think MLW's got a good product and they've got some good folks in there. And spoiler alert, they put that Southern Heavyweight title, that initial one, on Trevor Lee. So they've already got my vote. I like those guys a lot just for that.
Yeah, for sure. Earlier, I was on TikTok and I actually came across Ricardo Rodriguez's page. I didn't even know he was on TikTok, but he just kind of showed up. And I just commented. I said, I think MLW is strong AF right now. And I said, really enjoying the show. And he goes, agreed. So started following him after that because he immediately responded after I put that on there. So I thought that was cool.
I always liked him a lot. I loved him when he was doing this stuff with Del Rio. I thought he was fantastic.
Oh yeah, he played the role perfectly, I thought.
All right, we could talk about what happened on Monday.
Had a chance to digest all that.
It's so hard for me to like hold back. Because you and I have been saying it for a while. Please tell me how this company has not screwed Cody Rhodes over at every possible chance. Please tell me how they have not. Oh, no, we let him finish the story. We let him do that. Please tell me how this company has not taken Cody Rhodes and wiped their asses with him from the moment he came back. Oh, my God. So we all know, of course, that Sami Zayn won the championship in Saudi Arabia. He wins the championship and he gets a huge pop. And we postulated last week, it was just, I pulled it right out of my rear end. Maybe it's because they just want to keep the Saudis happy and keep the money flowing like oil. I don't know. That was me. But maybe it's going to be a great storyline. Maybe he'll run with this and maybe he'll headline WrestleMania. Not exactly. He had a match with Cody Rhodes on Monday night, except Cody gets attacked by Gunther backstage. He gets attacked out of nowhere.
Can we just stop right there for 1 second? Where did this come from? Where did this come from?
There you go. You got me, Chief. I have no idea. I have no idea.
So far in this great episode of Raw, it makes no sense so far. The first thing that happens already off to a shitty start.
So they go, well, he's been attacked and we just can't clear Cody Rhodes for this championship match. So we're gonna need a replacement. We gotta have a replacement for this championship match against Sami Zayn. I know who we're gonna get. Look in my eyes. There he is. And I love CM Punk. I do love CM Punk. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, really, this century. I don't know how you want to quantify this, but he's one. I love the guy, and so he's the guy, and he goes in the ring, and he takes the championship from Sami Zayn. This is the great storyline for Sami Zayn. He got to hold it for, I don't know, was it 8 days? Was that what it was?
8 days. Yeah.
Was it an 8-day run? Boy, that's going to put the asses in seats. I mean, what is it? What are we doing? Again, this is one of those. If you told me, and the rumor is that they're letting AI book this promotion, I'd be like, yeah, I think that's right. That sounds exactly what AI would do.
That's very AI. Yeah, totally. Well, I've got so many different issues with this. The whole Cody Gunther thing is just to me is definitely one of them, and it's just. It's almost a whole separate thing from the plot itself to me, but yeah, that didn't make sense. And then of course you knew. Well, here's the thing: you knew Punk was going to make an appearance, right? You knew he was coming back from Chicago,
Madison Square Garden. It's Madison Square Garden. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
No, this was Chicago.
Oh, was it Chicago? Oh yeah, because he's in Chicago. Sorry about that. Yeah. Thank you for being there.
Oh yes. So I knew that he was going to show up, and it was just all over the internet. He was going to, so you knew it was going to happen. Just didn't know how it was going to happen. You didn't know how he was going to show up, and then the whole Gunther thing happened, and you're like, okay. Then it's setting right up, and you're like, okay, well, how is he just going to march in and take control and get a match just because it's Monday night and they're in Chicago and he hadn't been around in 2 months, so he automatically gets a shot at it. He's the automatic replacement. That makes no sense. I mean, it just makes no sense. Okay, that part makes no sense to me. Again, quantifying it. I am a huge CM Punk fan, just like Britt. I love CM Punk. I also like Sami Zayn, and I think if anybody's getting obviously screwed around on this, it's him. And I just this has to be, when we're talking about it last time, this has to be the case, or a case of Saudi Arabia wanting Sami Zayn to be champion, and that's the only reason he became champion. And I mean, that's because I didn't know for sure that was the case, but now that this happened, it's like, okay, this is just making it more obvious to me on what's happening. And then just, all right. So what are we doing now? What are we
Thank
doing
you.
now?
Thank you.
That's just I don't know. I mean, I'm so sick of this. I don't know. It's just like they should know better about doing it. It's just so stupid and hokey, man.
It's almost like they don't know what they're doing.
Almost.
It's almost, but then they want to gaslight us into thinking that we don't know what the business is all about or how to get. I mean, it's just it's the dumbest shit possible. Because the naysayers, when they were like, when we were complaining, like, I don't know about this Sami Zayn getting the championship. I don't know what this is about. Oh, shut up. It's going to be great. They're going to give him a run. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. They're going to, see, this guy's story. And then they kill it. They kill it like 8 days later.
8 days, man. You know, some people were like comparing it to like Darby Allin's run a few months ago. Just, you know, take on 4 or 5 guys and win, you know, hold the championship for a while, a couple, 3 months or whatever. But not 8 or 9 days. That's just a slap in the face to me.
I mean, that's controversial, but I'm going to say the Darby Allin thing makes way more sense. I'm sorry, but it just does.
It did, and he seems to be fine with it, and it made more sense. It really did. I mean, you'd like to see him, you know, if you're a Darby Allin fan, of course, you'd like to see him hang on to it for a little longer, but he'll have another chance. He's still young, unless he, you know, Evil Knievels himself to death between now and then, but but I think he's got more chances ahead. But I don't know. I just think the whole set. You know, we can even go, to me, if you want to be honest, you can go back a little bit further in this whole bullshit setup for Monday night. Why is Sami Zayn even wrestling on Raw? That's a SmackDown title.
Well, look. You got a lot of problems. This doesn't help Sami, obviously. It doesn't help Cody. It really doesn't even help Punk. Punk was like just the guy that kind of swooped in and took it. And I love Punk. This hurts, and I don't even think it helps Gunther. There's nobody that it helps in this particular scenario.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. Who does this help out of everybody? Who does it help?
Does it help?
I don't think it helps anybody. You're right. Right.
I don't get it. I don't. I mean, the geniuses that run this company are just the greatest thing ever. They know way more about wrestling than me. And how's your territory doing? But this is some serious bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't even understand like how they just. Oh my God!
People say what they want about old Mid-Atlantic wrestling and Mid-South wrestling, but you know the storylines back then, and you can criticize the mic work on a lot of those old time guys, you know, that didn't have the greatest mic skills, but. But the storyline itself always to me made sense. Nothing ever. Yeah. You don't just scratch your head like we do here. Like, okay, first of all, why is he wrestling on Monday night? That shouldn't be happening. And then all the other stuff we've listed, it's like I never questioned that shit when I was watching all that stuff. Some of it was hokey just because you knew that the guys couldn't, like I said, couldn't really act and didn't have the mic skills that they probably have nowadays, but. It was still more believable with the storyline itself. And that's why I think I always like to go back and watch stuff like that. I don't ever get tired of watching that kind of stuff because it makes sense.
You go back and you watch something that makes sense. It makes you nostalgic for sensibility.
I'm just going to just to make sure. I just like to remind myself why I like wrestling.
I feel like also back in those days, they could go to the booker and go, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." They go, "Oh yeah, we'll change it. This makes sense if you do this."
You know what? You're right. You know, that's a good idea. Let's erase this.
Listen, baby, I'm gonna tell you something. It don't make no sense, but it will, Daddy. He's got I don't know, man. I'm just flummoxed by that. I'm just like that killed me, that whole scenario. And again, I love CM Punk. I don't think he needs the championship at this point. Whatever. He's in the twilight of his in-ring career. He can still do some crazy shit. I think he's amazing, but I don't know. It's being reported widely that Sheamus will be leaving WWE after they try to lowball him in a contract. Bryant, do you see any role for Sheamus in perhaps an AEW? And if so, why? And are you out of your mind?
I do. I think they need somebody like a Sheamus in there to I don't know. I don't know if they've ever had anybody like a Sheamus, like a Scottish Irish guy coming in and beating ass like Drew McIntyre and all. So I don't know. I think there's a place for him. I think he could come in and there's some great matchups that we could see.
I would like to see him as the newest member of the Death Riders. That's all I'm telling you.
No.
Oh, see? Well, I think Miro was supposed to be that. Obviously, he's not Scots Irish or whatever, but I think he was supposed to be that. And from day one, they put him in those, Louis Vuitton Mickey Mouse shirts that cost $800 or whatever, and they make him into some kind of goofy ass character. I'm not sure what would happen if he went into AEW. I don't know how they would use him in any way, shape, or form. Can you think of somebody who would be good for him to feud with immediately?
Kyle Fletcher.
I was going to say that's a pretty good pick. I would say that's a pretty good pick. He could probably put Kyle Fletcher over pretty well, and it would be very helpful to the young man.
It could almost solidify him. To be honest, talking about Fletcher, not that he's pretty close to being solidified. I think right now, anyway. But I think that would be a good matchup. Wow, you could throw Edge in there, get some old WWE stuff going on from whenever they might have had going on at some point back in
Interesting.
The day. I don't know if did they ever feud? Did Edge and Sheamus ever feud at any point?
Not that I'm aware, but I'm sure Adam would be down for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could bring up some connection somewhere besides just WWE or something. But I think there's definitely a place for him there. I think it'd be hot as hell for him to come in. They need a huge. When's the last time that they've had a pretty big? Because I consider Sheamus a pretty big name from WWE. He's not a mid carder. He kind of. I'd say he dropped to an upper mid carder and kind of hung there for a while for the most part for the last several years. Wouldn't you think? Like
I would say so.
They really haven't had anybody come in like that in a while at AEW, so I think that would be.
It might have been Edge. Might have been the last big WWE guy to come in like that.
I was going to say the same thing. I think talking about Edge, I think he might have been the last one to do that. It seems like. What
was your what will be your enduring moments of Sheamus's time with WWE? I'll certainly remember the very short match with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and I think the feud with Drew McIntyre I thought was very good.
Oh, that was top notch, man. The whole, banger thing that was good from the whole time they were friends and stuff, and then the going against each other. Yeah, that's definitely the best I remember. I kind of remember Sheamus back in NXT days before he came up, and I always thought he was going to be just like this monster almost, but. I don't know. He kind of was, but I think they softened him up a little bit by the end. He wasn't the biggest monster than I thought he was going to end up being.
It says here that Mick Foley has congratulated Kenny Omega for his AEW World Championship win. What are you thinking of what's going on with Mick Foley and his interactions on AEW these days?
I think it's great. I mean, if WWE is not going to. I don't know what went down with them. I don't know if this is a total decision on Mick Foley just to say, I've seen enough, adios, or if they said something to him or whatever. Either way, I'm glad he's over there at AEW doing his thing because Mick Foley's a good guy and I he is definitely the polar opposite of everything that WWE is about. So.
Well, in the TKO regime, for sure. What's going on right now? Yeah, for sure. All right. Any other closing thoughts on another award-winning, fast-paced episode of Katie Vick is Alive?
Let's see. What did I watch this week? Oh, you know what? I watched. I didn't really watch the whole episode or anything. I was just kind of I was going to send it to you, but the clip was too long. But it was our boy Buddy Landell when he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he was going to take on Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship. They had a couple when they were mixing and matching with the WWE and Smoky Mountain, and he gave this God, man, the promo that you may have seen it when Cornette's standing there and with him.
You're not going to help me. He tells Cornette he's not going to help him.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And he goes on this like 7-minute promo, man, and it's just beautiful. It was as good a promo that I think I've seen in a long time, and it was as good as it was as good as that LA Knight promo was funny with Seth Rollins, man. That's how good it was to me.
I think that was the last great Buddy Landale promo, because Jimmy's standing there and he goes, "And you're not going to help me," and Jimmy goes, "I'm not."
That's right. He said that.
Buddy was really good at that point in Smoky Mountain, and it was his last great run. And that's a good one to watch for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I just kind of came across it too. So that was a good one. If you happen to get a second, go watch it.
So as soon as you finish listening to this, go watch that MLW show and go look up that promo. You've got your homework assignments. Bryant is available for your social media pleasure. Stanley Jackson 23 on the TikTok. He is Dad of Stanley on Instagram and also on the threads. There he is. There's the Prince. And he is also They're the Twos. THEYRE. They're the Twos on Blue Sky. I'm Britt Whitmire on Blue Sky. BRITTWHITMIRE. And on Instagram and threads, I am Real Britt Whitmire. Always, we appreciate your support. Until next time, fans, we'll see you ringside.